Good morning, everybody. It's Graham once again from Unearthed. Sunday morning, very early. Out and about with the sheep this morning. I have to say that there's a heck, and this is completely off track, but I can't believe how much wildlife there's around this morning. Squirrels, woodpeckers. I've seen a deer at the bottom end of the wood this morning running around. Just fantastic to see a little bit of wildlife, isn't it? After what seems like years and years of winter. Things are coming back to life, so that's good news. If you're wondering why I'm sporting a new haircut, my hair was going too long. I can't get to the hairdressers, so I had to take the job in hand and get Melanie to give me a right good cut out of the wood. Saves a lot of hassle. I get a little bit depressed when my hair grows too long and bushy. There you go. I need a good clip out every now and then. Right, on to the main topic. Now, as you wonderful people know that watch this YouTube channel and I've been around the detecting scene for a number of years, you're probably now realising that there's a lot of new people joining the hobby and wanting advice where to start, gaining permission. Am I allowed to go here? Can I detect there? What are the laws around this particular area, etc, etc. So this particular film is going to be based around gaining permission and sadly losing permission. Remember, it's much easier to lose permission than gain it, and I'm going to go through some of the well, what I can only describe as silly ways that you can actually lose metal detecting permission. It's common sense, remember. You know, a lot of it's common sense and behaving in the correct way, but sadly lots and lots of detectorists fall foul of the same thing time and time again. So hopefully this film will help get rid of some of the questions and you know, answer some of the answers. There you go. Right, firstly, permission. There's a lot of people out there despondent that they can't get permission, and the first thing they do is they blame clubs for getting lots and lots of land tying up, and these rally organisers for tying up lots of land, and greedy detectorists for tying up lots and lots of land, which I can fully understand your frustrations and anxieties around that. So don't think I'm having a go in any way, shape or form about the average detectorists that are struggling to get permission. But there is ways and means of getting permission without struggling too much, and here is one. Now, a lot of detectorists, when they come into the hobby, the first thing they do, well, I nearly knocked that simplex over there. The first thing they do is they look for the big farms, the tasty farms, the ones that they drive past maybe a couple of times a week, and they like the look of them fields, and he always ploughs his field there, and he's got some interesting features there. I've had a look on the map, and there's footpaths, and there's this, that and the other on there. I've got to get permission on it. But remember, that farm, that particular farm you've got your eye on, has probably been targeted many, many times in the past. The farm is probably sick to the back teeth of people door knocking, and he's probably already got people on there for lengths of time, you know, over the years anyway. So just be careful you don't fall into the trap of getting too despondent too quickly by targeting the tasty looking farms. My advice to people is always start small. So if you've got friends and family that you know, or friends of friends that may have small parcels of land, don't get it into your head that you've got to have 80 acres a day to detect. Right? Lots of people fall into the trap. Oh, I've got to have at least 10 fields. If I haven't got 10 fields, I'm not going to detect. Remember, some really tasty, interesting and historical items and finds have been discovered on what I can only describe as small horse pastures, small acreage, small holdings and that sort of thing. So don't get into the trap of finding out that you know, you've got to have the big farms or else you're going to fail in the hobby. Start small. Ask your friends, your family, if they know anybody with small acres of land, horse paddocks, etc, etc, that you could maybe spin your detector over of an evening or of an early morning, not disturbing anybody. Couple of acres will do. Couple of acres will do. What is an acre? Nearly the size of a football pitch or slightly less. You know, it takes a lot of time to cover a couple of acres, believe me. So start small. Target friends and family if you know anybody with land that you can go and introduce yourself to. They may already do the work for you. They may already mention it to these people. Say, listen, I've got my brother John or my cousin Billy or whatever, or Susan who's just started detecting. You you know, would they be okay to detect on your land? This is what they've been finding, this is what they're hoping to find. And then you go along, introduce yourself, lo and behold, you've got 4 or 5 acres in the pocket. The good thing there is you've got a foot in, right? You've started the process of gaining permission. You've got your first permissions, fantastic. You're starting to relax, you're starting to get out there, use your detector, learn how to use your detector, learn how the detector speaks to you and its features and its characteristics, and then you start finding things, and then you start getting hooked on the hobby, and then you start wanting more and more. But you've got your foot in the door, you've got your first permission, and believe it or not, that first permission can lead to others, because they may know friends and family or other landowners that may let you on. Once you start showing the fines and offering the fines over, you've got that 50-50 agreement going on with fines and things that you want to share with the landowner and farmer, or whoever it may be that owns the land, and then the trust develops, and then you can start building from there. And you've got your first reference as well. You can use that reference, that very first reference, to go on and speak to other landowners and say, well, you know, John and Sue here, they've given me permission on you know, Priory Paddock, wherever that may be, and I found this, that and the other. And then people start thinking, well, he's a trustworthy guy, or he's a trustworthy lady. I will be more than welcome to have them on my land. And then you start building up little pockets of land here and there for your own, you know, for your own little, you know, your own little permissions. It's a great feeling. It really is a great feeling. And then, who knows, the door may open for larger farms, 100 odd acres or more, where you can actually go out there and really enjoy it and take time to do each field properly, rather than rush around doing it and then coming home after a day and saying there's nothing on there, which does happen. And this is what frustrates me. There's a lot of detectorists out there that they want as much land as possible. They want to drive around all day picking up as many farms as they possibly can. It's got to be 500 acres, it's got to be 300 acres, it's got to be 800 acres. If it's not, I'm not interested. And the sad thing is, these people are determined. They really do sell themselves at the farmer's door, which is their job. You know, this is part of the parcel why they get permission in the first place. But they never go back, or they tie it up. They go on once or twice, they don't find a great deal, they become despondent, and then they never visit that farm again. The farmer then thinks he's got somebody going on his land detecting. Somebody else comes along and door knocks. He says, well, Johnny in his white van come a couple of months ago, 6 months ago. I think he's going to come back, so no, I've already got somebody coming on. Johnny in his white van doesn't come back. You know, he's already been on. Apparently, he's already done the farm. He's got 18 fields. He's done 2, not found anything, so he never wants to go back. Just remember that we detected on farms that have got dozens of fields. And out of the dozens of fields, there may be only 3 fields that produce fines. But you've got to persevere. You've got to try each field. Because, you know, like I said, 9 out of 10 could be dead. And there could be just that one that's had that old footpath through, or a bit of a trading site, or whatever, meeting place. It could be anything. And it produces your hammered coins for you, or your artifacts, saving them from destruction, from the plough. So stick in. Don't lose farms by thinking, oh, you know, I've had 8 hours on there today. I've come home. The missus is moaning at me because I haven't found anything. Sits down on a Sunday night. I'm never going back to that farm again. And knowing fine well there's another 12 fields to do. He's only done 2. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Now, losing permission is a lot easier than gaining permission, believe me. So I've seen over the years people lose permission for the most simple, stupid things that people have done. So I always remember once in the 80s, 90s, a guy that was using a Tesoro detector, if you remember them guys, and he decided to change the batteries at dinner time on his detector. Now, instead of taking the batteries out and putting them safe in his bag, what did he do? He threw his batteries in the hedgerow, carried on detecting with his new fresh powered up machine, new batteries in it. That's it. Sunday night, gets back in his car, drives home, goes and visits the farm the next week. The farmer says, "You ain't coming back on here." He's like shocked. What's going on? What have I done? So I walked that hedgerow the other week where you were detecting, and I found a load of batteries. They haven't come off me. Oh yeah, you know, they're my batteries, AA batteries. Sorry about that. I didn't. Too late. Gone. Fine. You leave the farms as you find them. Don't discard any of your litter and junk in hedgerows. You know, really, you've really got to be careful. You can lose permission on. It's just, you know, you only have to upset that farmer landowner once, and that's it. You're off. And that was you know, really. And I've heard that time and time again. I've heard that over the years, time and time again, that people have done that. And of course, you get one or two detectorists that get in with the farmer. They get quite friendly with the farmer, and then they think they can start taking liberties. Then they think about they can start. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to open all the farm gates today and drive through and park in his courtyard. Shut the gates. But the farmers do not want you necessarily encroaching on their private life or parking right outside their doors. You've got to make sure that they tell you where to park and where you're allowed to go and where you're not allowed to go. A lot of people, honestly, a lot of detectorists fall foul of thinking that this farmer's my best mate. Honestly, he's the best. He's my best mate. I'd go drinking with him. I really would. He's a fantastic guy. Don't take liberties. Don't take liberties. I always remember one guy. Another example. Another story. All true. Muddy boots after a day's detecting, goes to the farm, shows the farmer the finds he's made off his ploughed fields. His boots are kicked in 3 inches of mud at the bottom, starts scraping the mud off on his doorstep, on the farmer's doorstep. Leaves mud all over the place. The farmer just looks down and thinks, you ain't coming back on here, pal. You've been coming on here 6 months, we've had no problem, look at the mess you've made. My wife has to walk out of this step. Goodbye. It's them sort of little things that can lose your permission. You imagine trying your hardest to gain permission on a really good area. You get permission off the landowner and then ruin it by stupidity. It's not worth it, is it? It's just common sense. Don't do silly things. Right, so we're going to do a part 2 of this as well, because there's a lot more to discuss and the clock is ticking. And I've got to mention this before I go, and I think a lot of you will love this, because I love it. We, when I say we, I mean Unearthed, we, or me, produced a book. My book is due out this year, folks, the first one, A Guide to Metal Detecting. It took me a long time to write it, and it took a lot of blood, sweat and tears, and getting up in the middle of the night because I had word block, and having that little bit of inspiration to get out of bed and jot down something that's coming to my head, and that happened quite a lot. So believe me, there's a lot of work that goes into writing a book, and if you're like me, you're a slow learner or a slow developer. I left school with very little qualifications. I had to go back to college in my later years, in my adulthood, to gain some qualifications properly. And I just think, you know, when I was younger, I probably in my teenage years and at school, I was probably distracted with becoming a human, trying to find my feet in the world. You know, what's all this about? I wasn't interested in school at all. And the teachers weren't interested in us. So there you go, it was a two-way street. But we got there, and it's a personal accomplishment. I've done it. I can at least sit back in my later years and say, well, you know what? I wrote a book, and I'm really proud of myself for doing it, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it. However, I got a troll. I keep getting trolled by Paul Barford. Now, Paul Barford is well known for being an outspoken anti-detectorist or anti-detecting gentleman. He's not very... I find him difficult to work out, because I think he's an educated guy. I think he's a clever man. And I think he lets himself down by these silly rants that he does on his own blog. And he seems to have targeted me more than enough these last 6 months or more. Our television programme last year, he had a pop at that. He's had a pop at the book already. Even our local mail, the Evening Mail here in Barrow-in-Furness, picked up the story of the book coming, and he was one of the first to troll it online on the Mail's website. So he does have an unhealthy interest in me. Now, it could be that he fancies me. Now, if he fancies me, that's fine. That is absolutely fine. You know, I've got no problem with him fancying me. But it doesn't go the other way. I'm a straight guy. I'm a straight male. So Barford may have an unhealthy interest in me in that respect, or he may just be bitter towards me writing a book and other people enjoying life while he's bitter. I guess he's a little bit bitter. I can only assume that he is a very bitter man that hides behind a keyboard. Here's my olive branch to Mr. Barford. Listen, Mr. Barford, you're more than welcome to come detecting with us for a day. We'll get you kitted out with a detector, your boots, your fines pouch, your spade, your gloves. We'll have you kitted out 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 at night. We'll you'll really enjoy the experience. You'll see what detecting's all about. You'll see that we're saving coins and artifacts from destruction. We'll show you how we liaise with the farmers and landowners. We'll show you how we record our finds. We'll even show you how it's done properly from the detectorist point of view, and it's not all about hiking Roman brooches out of the ground and then going and selling them on eBay. You'll be surprised that the maybe 99 of the 100 targets that we hit is all junk. So you're more than welcome to come out detecting with us. I don't think you're going to take the offer up somehow, but the offer's there to share a day's detecting with me and a couple of lads. Why not? Why not do it? Why hide behind a computer all the time and a keyboard? Surely it's not worth the negative energy. Surely. But there you go. There's the offer. Okay, folks, stay tuned for part 2 of losing permission, gaining permission, losing permission, whichever way you want to say it. Should be an interesting topic. Feel free to leave a comment or two after this, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.